Some of y'all want to be D's. You want to masquerade like D's because you want to be a boss. You want to look, no, you're not a boss. You just bossy. You ain't no boss. You just bossy. You know, real boss, a real boss, they don't talk about their boss, but when the fire comes, they go in on the sneak tip and they go in and rescue stuff, pull stuff out. You hear what I'm saying? So I had to get out of my emotions, right? I was in my emotions and I had to go like, all right, leave that to C. C make all the decisions. All right, E, from now on, all you worry about is the experience. When people walk in, that's your job. When we get on the phone, make sure you're on the phone. Like, just make sure the experience, right? So here's what happened, eyes. When I realized I was an I was like, ooh, I got the wrong people on the phone. I got people answering phones, and I'm like, ooh, this wrong. Because what happens is they love ET. And when they call, they talking to a D, a S, or a C on the phone, and they not getting the same experience. They weren't drawn to D's. They weren't drawn to S's or C's. They were drawn to the I. So I was like, yo, I need to get I's. So when people call customer care, they get that same warm, fuzzy feeling they got when they were not. I can't be all things to all people, but I can hire I's that anytime we have to deal with people, I can't have D's dealing with people. Because D's gonna get the results, but we're gonna lose the client. It's being real, because the D ain't gonna worry about how it's being said. And now my client, like, I'm up out of here. So I would literally have clients who would call me like, yo, homegirl, she gotta go. And they weren't saying she gotta go because that she was incompetent. They were saying, I realized what they were saying was, she gotta go because she's not you. I don't feel the same way when I talk to her that I feel when I talk to you. Now, C's a leader, I'm a shepherd. So if you're an I, write it down, you're a shepherd. You're not a leader in the sense of results, but you are a shepherd in that you get results through people. So when you're a shepherd, you gotta come at it a little different. Like, shepherds are different. Shepherds are still leaders, but shepherding is different than leading. Does that make sense? A Hitler is a leader. Martin Luther King is a shepherd. Winston Churchill is a leader. Mother Teresa is a shepherd. It's a difference. They lead differently. And so for all my eyes, I want you to look up a book. It's called A Shepherd's Look at the 23rd Psalms. I want you to take a look at that book. All my eyes, I want you to take a look at that book. A Shepherd's Look at the 23rd Psalms. All right, now I want to show y'all something right quick. All right, so I realized that I got this dimmer switch, right, that I got to start using. So I'm looking at my natural, which is the yellow. I'm looking at my adaptive, which is the gray. Right, so what happens is, in my natural, I'm talking about stupid Gregorius, like I'm right up there. But if you notice, in my adaptive, I go all the way down to sociable. So what happened was, after I had that conversation with my mom, I went from being super engaged with my mom to withdrawn. I actually ran away from home. So I didn't really realize that what happens is, when I'm in my natural and everything is going well, I'm like bubbly. But when I have to adapt, I start withdrawing. Now watch this. If you're dealing with somebody and they met you for the first time, when they're in a relationship with you, and you Gregorius, and then something happened in the relationship, and you go all the way down to poise, like, that's a difference. That's like you. Just being real. That's a total. And so a lot of you be tripping like, why people tripping on me when I get mad or because they don't know who you are. You like night and day. You so emotional that when you're doing good, you're giving them 100%. Then when you go down, you're giving them about 60-some%. That's a different person. A 99 is passing the class with flying colors. A 60 is you failing. And what I didn't realize is I got programmed that day. Now, that day in of itself didn't have to program me, but for whatever reason, I wasn't aware of what happened. So when things changed between me and my mom that day, it's like whenever I'm doing well, I'm like, let's go. But when I'm not, I withdraw. So now me and CJ getting into it, and we're not agreeing on stuff. And all of a sudden, I go from me and C hollering at each other to me withdrawing. Like, I'm talking about, I was grown. I remember being grown. I remember one time I was in Orlando on the phone talking to my mom, pacing back and forth in the hallway, and we getting into it. And guess what? When we would get into it, it would get so heated that we would hang up on each other, and then we wouldn't talk for about a month. So that's how I used to, like, that was my, whatever. And it probably be quiet as kept. I have to ask my mom, but her mom probably did it. Right? So that's what I picked up. So I didn't know it. I wasn't aware of it. But when me and C would go whatever, I would do this right here. Didn't even realize I was doing it. So I was doing it in my relationship with C because I didn't heal with my mom. At that particular time, I didn't. I would do it with my wife. I was doing it with everybody, right? And so I had to realize, like, yo, E, just because you get into it with somebody, y'all can still talk. But me and my mom, when we would talk, I'm talking about when, like, we didn't agree with each other, especially when I found out that, like, yo, you didn't tell me who my mom was like, I was gonna tell you. So she probably would have, but I was 12, and I'm not saying I was right, but the way I internalized it, I'm very what? Come on, I'm very what? So I took it like, oh, so you just weren't gonna tell me? Like, I never like, now we grown, I've talked. My mom explained to me, like, yo, you was a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, you was a child. You had no way of understanding. Like,
I'm motivated by fear. Fear of fear. I hate being scared to do something. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Period. You can't be scared to die.
I enjoy connecting with people and ideas, and you know, I have a mission statement. So every year for probably the past 10 years, I've worked out a mission statement for myself. And for the last few years, the mission statement has stayed the same, and it's been improve lives, right? So when I go into something, I'm looking for how the quality of this piece could potentially improve lives. But it's all along the way. It's when you make the movie and how you're interacting with people in the process. And the concept of improving lives runs through the center of everything I do. And then I realized that the way to improve lives is to continually improve yourself, right? So with that, every morning when I get out of the bed, I haven't fixed everything in the world yet, so there's always something to do.
For the truth. The truth is the only thing that's ever going to be constant. And you can't fear what might happen to you if you were to tell the truth. Because what happens to you if you don't tell the truth is worse than telling the truth will ever be.